patients with special challenges. Let's see, medical advances and insurance. Let's see, advanced medical devices in the home. Okay, results in more conditions that EMTs did not previously encounter. Cause may be more for a problem with the patient's device or a medical or traumatic problem unrelated to the device. So it's going to be, all it's saying is that sometimes if you go to a patient, it may be for an actual medical condition or just because a device is malfunctioning. That's what this is saying. EMTs are increasingly called to assist patients who rely on advanced medical devices at home. This patient has a feeding line and a home ventilator connected to a tracheostomy. Now, with these patients, um, usually if they have a caregiver, they'll know how to somewhat deal with the device. If for some reason that caregiver isn't there, um, before this is what I would do. This is if I got to this patient and their device is malfunctioning and I'm not familiar with it and I don't want to do anything that may affect this patient negatively, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to figure out who this person's caregiver is and is there contact information on this person, because this person is probably my best bet at being able to fix whatever equipment is malfunctioning. Because if it's a person that's there on a daily basis for the most part, there's a good chance that they've encountered a similar issue with a device. And maybe the person is on leave for that day. Maybe they couldn't come in because they had some kind of car malfunction. Who knows? And there's somebody else in place, like a substitute for that patient, and they do not know how to deal with the equipment. And that's where I would go first. First, I would go to see if they can help me, if there's a person that's there on a daily basis. Or the other thing you can do is if the patient themselves is not mentally altered, if they're with it and can communicate, I'm sure they know that equipment probably in and out, or at least enough to troubleshoot it, because they've probably seen somebody do it plenty of times. So that's my advice for you guys when it comes to that. So EMT may respond to calls at private residents, nursing homes, SNFs, specialized care facilities. So this is just where you may go. Obviously, at private residents, see variety of healthcare settings. Private residents, you do have those patients that have a hospital bed at home and have the devices like this gentleman here. That's pretty normal. I've seen that plenty of times. And then we all know what nursing homes are, specialty rehabilitation centers. Usually these are people that have some kind of disability and need special assistance. So there'll be personnel there to assist them on a daily basis. Specialized care facilities, kind of similar to that, different settings though. See, knowledgeable caregivers. Caregivers likely trained on device. We talked about that. So that would be my first go-to. Is hopefully they're around. If not, is there a contact number for this person? See, has problem occurred before? So these are all just questions that you would troubleshoot and go through. We kind of already talked about that. See, the patient is often an expert on the device or devices she depends on, unless the patient's advice as you discuss her condition, special devices, and the assessment. So we already talked about this. So again, caregiver is always my go-to. If patient is not mentally altered, if they can communicate with you, then I'm going to them and I'm asking questions. And don't be scared to ask someone questions when you're out there. If you don't know something, you're better off just saying you don't know it and learning on the spot, whatever that is. Diseases and conditions. See, congenital diseases, that just means that the patient was born with it. So it's something that they were born with. Congenital heart diseases, cleft palate, I'm sure you guys have seen that before. Congenital deafness. And then acquired are things that, the patient will build up over time. So COPD, and we already know what COPD is. That's emphysema and chronic bronchitis together. Those two create COPD. And emphysema especially is something that is developed over time given your environment, all right? So the worse your environment, like in a city that has a lot of smog, if you live around smokers, if you smoke yourself, that's part of your environment, that will increase the chances of getting emphysema and over time. AIDS, traumatic spinal cord injury, that's just from trauma itself, and then deafness could be from a number of things. But just the difference between congenital and acquired. Congenital, the biggest thing here is just know that congenital means that you were born with it. Acquired is something that developed as you lived your life. Let's see, advanced medical devices. See, we talked about the CPAP plenty of time. So it's continuous positive airway pressure. Now, besides the fact that you can use this on the rig, and it is on the rig, it should be on the rig, at least from my understanding. Some people are actually prescribed a CPAP. They have to sleep with it, and they use it because if you go for a certain amount of time frame without being able to catch your breath when you're sleeping, then you would be prescribed one. That's the way it works. It's a form of non-invasive positive pressure ventilation and prevents alveoli from collapsing. We know that already. And there's a CPAP. He's rocking it. See, continuous positive pressure device. We know what's going on with that already. So I'm gonna go through it. Problems not usually related to machine. Patient may wish to bring machine to hospital. That's pretty common. Patients would sometimes they just think that especially when they just barely get the machine, whatever the machine is. There's different kinds of machines that people are prescribed. But right now we're using the CPAP as an example. Especially when patients are barely prescribed whatever equipment they are prescribed for their illness, they always bring it with them to the hospital just to be safe. I mean, it's not a bad thing either. You never know. See, alert hospital personnel of use of a CPAP device during sleep in radio. So with tracheostomy tubes, also called the stoma, that's just a hole in the trachea. So in the middle, in the front midline of the neck, they'll have a hole. And they use that hole to breathe in. So they use the hole in their neck called the stoma or tracheostomy. See, now BVMs are designed to fit on there. If you are going to BVM a patient that has a stoma on their neck, what you want to do is first you want to suction out the stoma. It's very common for like mucus to build up on there. So before you start ventilating that patient, suction it out first, get all that mucus build up out, and then go ahead and BVM your patient. See, patient may or may not be able to speak. See, tracheostomy, so EMT assessment and transport. Check tube. If clogged, insert whistle tip catheter into stoma. See, patient may buck during suction, may need to ventilate with BVM. See, so they don't show what a whistle tip catheter is here, so I'm gonna go ahead and just show you a video on that.